Hey DGens, welcome back to the channel. Really appreciate you guys coming back and watching another video. As the description said, in this video I will talk through how my poker year went in 2023, and I will also share my goals for 2024 when it comes to poker and also content creation. Before we get into my results, just quickly, I was a bit nervous on sharing the results. I didn't want it to come off the wrong way. But, I think it's important, when creating these type of videos, that I always appreciate these videos from the other poker content creators where they provide a lot of transparency into how their year is going, etc. So I'm going to do the same. I will share my results. Also, I think it's important, I've always tried to figure out what's achievable in poker. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but people are pretty guarded with what their win rate is and how much money they're making. And I am too, for the most part. I think it's just the culture of, if you're around casinos and around grinders, you never really want to overshare in that way. But people have gotten close from, I found it helpful to be able to ask what their hourly is and what I can expect to make and if I'm doing well or if I'm doing good, and not trying to compare myself to one versus the other to see if I'm better, but just to know if I'm setting a bar high enough for myself in terms of what I can achieve while playing poker. So my goals coming into this year is I wanted to make $100,000. That was just my market. If I can make $100,000, it will be a good year. And the way I thought about that, I can hold myself accountable to reaching that number. So obviously, if you try to win $100,000 every year, you're going to make some mistakes. But really, I just tried to concentrate on, if I can get my win rate to $100 an hour, over 1,000 hours, I'll reach my monetary goal. And 1,000 hours is quite a lot to play, but I tried my hardest to achieve it. So let's look at the results. I've been playing poker for profit probably for over 10 years now, but about 3 years ago, I got really, really into it and started tracking every hand that I played and holding myself accountable to my results. And so I have the filter on here just for calendar year 2023. This is every hand that I've played this year across all game types. So you'll see the top line number here. It's $94,620. I would say that's pretty good. Almost reached my goal. Not quite there. On the left-hand column, this shows the cash games. I reached my goal of $100 an hour in the cash games, but I didn't quite play 1,000 hours. So that kind of pulled me back a bit. And then I fucked off and blew some money in some tournaments. So contributed to all you guys who play tournaments. You're welcome. So bringing my hourly across cash games, all game types, the 3 tournaments I fired, to $97 an hour. Obviously this is a good number. It's something to be proud of, but it was a little bit short of my goal. So the year was not quite as good as I wanted, but okay. I think the main catalyst for this, as you'll see right here, is that across all the PLO variants, I did quite well, making all of my money, essentially. But I had about a 2 or 3 month period where I was playing No Limit Hold'em in a relatively high stakes No Limit Hold'em game. And I just wasn't good enough to be playing that game, in my opinion. And I lit about $30,000 on fire over that period. Another thing here that, I personally want to work on. Well, let me make this more relevant to you all. So if I eliminate No Limit Hold'em, because if you're watching this channel, you like PLO. So looking at PLO, if we look at the numbers, obviously they look quite better. It's a game I'm much better at, so no surprise there. 127,000 top line, and the hourly is $150 an hour, which is, I'm pretty proud of that. Within 4-card poker, did quite well. 5-card, a little bit less well, but still overall well. This other game, it was just a high-low game. I didn't really play. I only played one time. I think another thing to look at that I like to look at is the trend. So what does this look like over time? you'll see us PLO players, if you're an experienced PLO player, you realize that variance is a part of the game. So if you are no limit hold'em player, you're used to a nice steady graph that just consistently goes up. But if you're playing PLO, you got to embrace the variance, right? I think I've had one, two, three, four, almost five downswings of over $15,000 or $20,000 this year. Some of those have come in one session, which is something actually I wanted to talk about. Which if I think about areas where I want to improve my game, it's average winnings and average losses. While when I play PLO, I win 60% of the time. I also realize that when I lose more than I win on average. So what that means to me is that maybe I'm a little prone to tilt, right? Maybe there's been a few sessions where I put that extra buy-in or so in that I could probably avoid putting in and kind of be more disciplined when you're in a situation that you should just accept defeat. I wish I was more responsible in that way sometimes. Going back to the trend chart here, PLO is a swingy game. As you watch more and more of my content, you'll understand that the way that I play PLOs, I really believe that you need to take every spot. And if it's a close spot, you just pray to the variance gods. And I think that's the right way to play PLO. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's worked well for me. And I think when you play that way, there's just going to be nights where you're the one throwing the party because you're getting the money in. And, getting the money in good in PLO means you're like a 55% favorite or maybe a 50% favorite, but you're getting 2-1. So you just got to get the money in. That means you're going to lose a lot. So those are my results from 2023. I think overall it's an okay year. I didn't quite reach my goals, but I think it was still a good year. My goals for 2024. From a poker perspective, let me go back. What are my learnings from 2023? My learnings from 2023, I think there are a few. One, just because you're good in one variant of poker does not mean you're going to be good in another variant of poker. And I think that played out for me when, I had that 3-month period where I was playing a fairly high stakes, no limit hold'em game. I just thought I could win because, I'm a better poker player than these players, which is probably true, but they were definitely more experienced no limit hold'em players than me. And I gave some money back. And, I think about my favorite type of player to play with is a no limit hold'em player playing PLO because they just overvalue hands. They don't play hands correctly. And I'm sure they were excited to play with me for similar reasons. So my first takeaway is that just because you're strong in one area doesn't mean you're going to be strong in another area. And, I hadn't earned the right to play no limit hold'em at such a high stake. And, I won't be making that mistake going forward unless I'm willing to put in the work to really, really battle at that stake and feel comfortable. Another lesson I learned from last year is that my play style, I think I have some leaks, right? One, if you think of the biggest mistakes that live PLO players make, or probably all live poker players, is they overfold and underbluff. And I've probably lit about $10,000 or $15,000 on fire this year by calling on rivers where I convinced myself my opponent could be bluffing and I have to call. And more often than not, I just get showed the bad news that they're just never bluffing. And I don't know how many times I have to put the money in to figure that out. So that's one area I would like to improve going forward. I think another area I would like to improve is that because people overfold, I sometimes get too aggressive and overbluff and play too many hands just thinking that, if I get a good run out, I'll win the pot anyway. And I think some of the players that I play with regularly have started to catch on to that and really started to find calls with lighter hands against me that I was surprised to get called with. So those are two adjustments that I will need to make in my game. to hopefully have better results leading into at the end of 2024. Another thing that I've learned this year is that I really dislike fucking home games. Because of where I live and where the type of games I get access to, I don't have a choice. I have to play, and then where I can. But it's just a fucking grind. Like dealing with the people running the games and worrying about the rake, watching the rake, thinking if you're getting cheated or not. It's just a lot to think about. And, I just wish I could play poker for high stakes and have it be a pure game. But you never know. You can't control that. Also, one benefit from home games, though, is because so many players play on credit, they gamble way more than they do in a casino, what I've noticed, and the games play way bigger. So, like, an example of this is if you're at a casino, 5-5-10 is usually the highest game that plays at most casinos, right? And, it's because you're putting in 1,000, 2,000, whatever, out of your pocket every time. These home games, you're playing 5-5-10 or $25 shadow, $50 shadow, whatever. A guy may be in for 10,000 but is taking no money out of his pocket. And then he's like, give me another 10,000. So all of a sudden there's a shitload of money on the table. And, that's good for me because, in PLO, your skill advantage gets realized more as stacks get deeper. So it's a good thing for me. So I guess that's worth the trade-off of dealing with the hassle. But it's just one of the takeaways I have from 2023 is I don't like home games. I wish I could just play mid-stakes at a casino every day and, it'd be worth my time. But unfortunately, that's just the way the environment is. Okay, so transitioning into 2024, I have poker goals and I have poker content goals. So I'll start with my poker goals. My poker goals for next year is I'm not playing No Limit Hold'em. I'm just going to focus and double down on what I've spent a lot of time learning and what interests me. And that's playing, relatively mid stakes, PLO, deep stacked. That's my bread and butter. So I'm going to try to do that as much as possible. My goal for next year is I want to make at an hourly between 150 and 200, and hopefully I can get in volume between 800 to 1,000 hours. I think that'd be reasonable given that I work full time. From a poker content perspective, I dabbled my foot into poker content this past year. I wouldn't call myself a success yet. There's 9 followers at the time that I am creating this video. So hopefully we find a bit more. But I'm going to give it a serious shot. I commit to make 50 videos next year. A combination of the videos that I have been doing where, I watch a lot of poker content on YouTube live streams. So I'm going to continue to react to interesting hands that I think have an interesting decision point. And, it's just something I enjoy doing. And hopefully I find an audience that also enjoys it as well. I think it is there. I just have to figure out how to maybe make the videos a bit better so I can reach the people who want to see it. Another thing I want to incorporate is I want to incorporate maybe some live reactions from some of my sessions. And I'm not going to videotape at the table. If you go back to my first video where I describe why I would wear the disguise in the first place, I play home games. I want to play higher stakes home games. I don't want to be known as a wizard who's in there playing perfectly and trying to get all the money. As DGAF says on his podcast, poker's a soft hustle. So I like just being seen as, someone with a job who likes to gamble and, wins a bit more than I should, but no one thinks I'm super sharp. And I think that's a great place to be. But what I will do is maybe just do some live reactions of, what my game plan is going into a session, how I felt after the session, and then I'll do a deep dive into some actual hands that I've played. I've done one video this year where I reviewed a session where I lost $8,000, and I did a deep dive into one of the bluffs that I did. And from my perspective, I think it was the best video I've done so far. It hasn't done the best in terms of views, but it's the purest, rawest content in the sense of you get to understand how I'm actually thinking about a hand, how I approach a hand, how I think about the players I'm playing against. And I think it's just super insightful. Those are the type of videos that I like. So I think I'm going to do more of those videos, share more of my hands. I think this will be a way to hold me accountable to what my poker goals are. So I will, just record, or at least maybe do 1 or 2 hands a week that I played at any given week, and just review those and talk about them and share my results in real time. And hopefully I can reach my goal at the end of the year. Thank you all for watching the video. Please let me know how 2023 went for you. And let me know what your goals are for 2024. Maybe we can help each other achieve those goals. Thank you so much.